Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion today, Dress for Success, Designing Winning Event Content. My name is Candice Davis, Director of Event Programming and Creative Services here at vFairs, and along with being one of your MCs today, I have the pleasure of moderating this session. I'm very excited to be joined today by three expert panelists with lots of expertise in creating amazing event content and networking opportunities across events. I can't wait to get into it and hear from our experts. So let's dive right in. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Pamela Fawcett, Education Policy and Professional Practice Manager at the Alabama Education Association. Hello, Dr. Fawcett.
Hello.
So nice to have you today.
Thank you. I'm
Also,
so happy to be here.
good. I am also joined by Bri Sambo. She's the Senior Program Manager of Career Mobility at T-Mobile. Hello, how are you, Bri?
Hey there, Candice. Greetings from the Pacific Northwest. Hello, everyone. Looking forward to this conversation.
Great. Thank you for joining. And our third panelist is Danielle Simmons, Director of Events at the Professional Diversity Network. Danielle, it's always a pleasure to have you join.
Absolutely. It's such a great joy to be here with you guys. Really looking forward to today's discussion.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in. First off, I want to get to know a little bit more about the three of you and for our attendees too, now that I know much more about you and where you're located on the globe and what you do at your companies. But let's talk about that a little bit. Dr. Fawcett, I wanted to ask you specifically for your job role and what you do at Alabama Education. Give us a little more background and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, here at the Alabama Education Association, I lead the Education Policy and Professional Practice Department. And the primary emphasis of this department is to provide professional learning experiences for our members. We have educators all over the state who are members of AEA, and we provide professional learning for them to renew their licenses, their certifications to be educators in the state. We also provide professional learning for our education support professionals, retirees, principals, uh, pre service teachers, those college students who are studying to become educators. And we also, on the policy side, will monitor and analyze federal policy legislation that is impacting teaching and learning around the state. And that's just a snippet of what we do, but there's so much more.
Wow, that sounds like a lot. I'm sure you're very busy. And I know that you mentioned that you're back in the office, that you guys are open again. So I know that you are super busy at this time. Great.
Definitely,
Bri,
yes.
thank you so much. Bri, let's talk a little bit about T-Mobile. I know a lot of us out here are familiar with T-Mobile, but let us know what you do there and specifically kind of what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So, Bree Sambo, Senior Program Manager, Career Mobility at T-Mobile, which is a pretty hefty phrase, that career mobility. What I do is I run a really cool program called Career Fest, and there's a couple different elements of Career Fest. And what it is, it's an internal career exploration platform and event, and we build it all on the vFairs platform. It's pretty cool. We have an opportunity for our employees to really jump in the driver's seat of their career. So our event and platform features our leaders talking about their teams, career advice, and it's all really geared towards our frontline employees. And so folks who are in our retail stores and our call centers trying to figure out what's next for them, Career Fest is a place. And so they learn about all of our different departments that make up T-Mobile, but we also have a place for career development called our Career Garden, which features all of our different programs, as well as we have, some question and answers. We have some workshops. So all about that internal career mobility.
Wow, that's amazing. I love the kind of culture that you guys set up there at T-Mobile just for your employees too. I've seen I've logged on to your events and I've seen them, and they're beautiful, by the way. I love the layout, the content that we'll get to in just a minute, and the networking functionalities too. So thank you for sharing, Bri.
Absolutely.
All right, Danielle, let's hear about Professional Diversity Network. I know what you do, but please let our attendees know what you do there.
Yes, so I have been with the Professional Diversity Network for about 14 years now. Wow, that's a long time. And simply stated, the Professional Diversity Network is a company that provides recruiting solutions to employers who are looking to hire diverse talent. And so we host about more than 15 career fairs a year. So that's just about 2 a month or so. So we're very, very busy, and just really trying to connect employers with professional diverse hires. We do that all on the virtual platform through vFairs, of course. And, before the coronavirus, of course, made everything different. We were doing that in person. So we had a lot of face-to-face networking opportunities with employers and different talent, and looking forward to doing some hybrid events in the future, but definitely want to stay with the virtual space. It's a really great benefit for us.
Yeah, and I know you're really busy just as an event planner and organizer, doing these 2 events that you do with us a month. You're like family to us. I mean, of course, so is Bri and so is Pamela. I've been to all 3 of your events, and that's why I have you here today. Come together. I want to bounce ideas and thoughts off of all 3 you have to offer. So thank you so much for sharing, Danielle. And let's jump into our questions. I have a lot. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, I want to understand, sometimes it's difficult to probably plan out which content formats would be best for your specific events and your audience. So I know that there's probably very different audiences between the 3 of you for your specific events that you do with us. But how do you go about deciding which content formats would be best for your virtual event? So that could be choosing between live and pre-recorded, sessions, hosting poster halls, gamification, networking through the chats, the one-on-one video chats, the welcome video. This can encompass all, your events together. So Bri, let's start with you. Again, how do you go about deciding which content format to use for career?
Yeah, for sure. So once again, Career Fest is this concert-themed, internal virtual career exploration event, but it's also a platform. So during our 3-day launch event, we have different live elements, like I said, those Q&As and workshops, and there's other ways to interact and network too. But the event lives on as a platform until we refresh it again a year later and we do the launch event all over again. So we choose to have on-demand speakers and podcasts to allow for maximum flexibility for those frontline employees that I mentioned before. While we give our employees some directions on where to start on the site and where to start in the event, it's really set up with this pretty cool main stage where we give the employees an opportunity where they can dive into those arena booths, find out more about the different departments, or they can head over to our career garden and check out the different career resources. We definitely leverage those chat rooms and Q&A sessions to bring that live event to life. But yeah, there's a lot of, when it comes down to it, for us, having our content more on demand and having that flexibility for our employees is truly paramount. But we love that vFairs gives us the opportunity to throw in those live things like scavenger hunts and truly make it a really fun and engaging event.
Yeah, and I've seen firsthand with Career Fest, when you go into your Career Fest, there is a really cool journey that's kind of documented through this graphic. I want to ask you a little bit about that, kind of talk about that, because that is content related. It's focusing and telling those frontline employees through this sort of like an employee type career journey.
Yeah, and sometimes we like to call it choose your own adventure, right? And so we have this pretty cool infographic when you jump into Career Fest. And if you're not sure where to start, or maybe you're at, a mid-level in your career and kind of want to see an overview of what's going on in Career Fest and plug yourself in that way, like I said before, it's really choose your own adventure. So we like to give those resources, that content firsthand to our employees when they get in there, so that they can, make that adventure all themselves.
Yeah, you're guiding them from a user experience, standpoint. That's huge. And all three of you, I know Pamela, Danielle, you guys feel the same. You're always thinking, you're building when planning the content and these events. What would be like when you're logging in an attendee perspective? You're wanting to guide them where to go, just like you would do it in person. It's virtual event. So I think that's huge. Kudos to your team creating amazing graphics that you have throughout specifically for this journey that stands out in my mind. So thank you for sharing. Dr. Fawcett, let's go over to you. How do you plan which content formats to use too?
Well, for our events, we have had to transition from in-person to virtual over the past couple of years. And so we really wanted to create something that was as close as possible to what our members would experience as if they were in an in-person event. And so we would include our meeting format, presentations with our live presenters. If for some reason a presenter was not available to be there live to do a presentation, then we would do the recorded presentation and utilize the chat to engage the members in conversations, the same as if they were in a session with a live presenter and able to ask questions during the presentation. We also use the exhibit hall feature at our events. We always have an exhibit hall where our educators can walk around and see resources that they can use in their school settings. And we also include some type of personal items in our exhibits, like clothing or jewelry, things that they can enjoy on a personal level. And then we utilize, of course, the gamification that Bri just mentioned, the scavenger hunt, the leaderboard. Those have lended themselves to be very, very engaging for our members. But everything that we do, interaction and engagement is key. So those are some of the things that we've done as far as planning out the content formats.
Yeah, I love how you're kind of peppering in some specific personalization. I mean, like you mentioned, like jewelry, clothing, that sort of thing. And also your content is a big focus of what your events are and what you do, but also the network gamification elements. I love that both of you, the scavenger hunt and of course the leaderboard is huge for directing people on where to go throughout the event points. If you want them, for instance, to tune into the keynote or a specific, or kind of draw them over to any other areas within the environment. I love the flexibility and I think you guys are really capitalizing using those for both of your events. Thank you for sharing. And then Danielle, I know you are like the gamification queen. So I want to ask you specifically for your event. I know is a big piece of it. Networking is huge for your company, but tell us a little bit more about planning your content. So these gamification elements that you add.
Yeah, so I mean, it's as Pamela mentioned with COVID, everything changed. So we had to put everything in the virtual space. And so what we really like to capitalize on is the one-on-one conversations. In our world with career fairs, it's all about the employer speaking directly to a potential hire. And so just trying to be really creative and encourage that one-on-one conversation with the employer as well as the candidate. I know here recently we've gotten really creative with trying to make sure that we're having more specific conversations versus just, having everybody come and just stand in line to speak with one employer. Employers want to speak more with, more specific candidates with what they're exactly recruiting for and be a little bit more specific. So we've, introduced some new elements like our roundtables, just really trying to get the candidate in front of the employer more. Our private conversations, our public chat rooms, our private video conversations. So just trying to get the candidate, push them more toward the employer with those and those elements as far as that one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, and how you're really tailoring specifically to the one-on-one conversations, videoing, the breakout rooms. We will have our new networking roundtable feature that will be coming here today. We'll be doing a lot of networking hours, so stick around for that, everyone. But thank you, Danielle, for that. I think all of your events are very unique to its own, audience and what you do specifically. But I want to ask, how do you ensure for your event to keep it unique and make sure that it offers a good value to your attendee and your audience? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it unique as far as content is concerned? Bri, I want to start with you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for us, it was really utilization of branding and also partnering with a designer on the T-Mobile side to help create really cool designs that vFairs could then replicate. So this ensured that our vision came to life without settling on, pre-made designs or features that didn't feel like a good cultural brand or cultural fit or good branding for us. So that's really become key for us, is to have this super awesome relation with vFairs, bring them some maybe crazy ideas, some different things that they may not have seen. I think for this year's event, we introduced a starry night sky, even with some shooting stars. And so just always thinking about, sky's the limit and everything's possible. And if it's not possible, chatting with our partners with vFairs to figure out what is. So just really focusing kind of on unique branding and design on our side, but also really leaning into that partnership and exploring what could be possible.
Yeah, the creativity, your team and of course our team that you mentioned too, us coming together, it's a really strong partnership that your team and just getting and making your vision come to life. With your team, it sounds like your team creates maybe some ideas to share with our design team, and we help kind of bring that to life. And I love to create that happen. So thank you for sharing. I need to go and see this starry night. I'm really sad. Dr. Fawcett, I want to ask you specifically first. I know Bri uses a lot of activity, a lot of visuals, a lot of branding elements specifically for T-Mobile and what they do for internal event for Career Fest. But for your specific event, tell us a little bit your event content, how you keep it fresh and unique for the event.
Well, really, when we are planning our events, the two main things that I always have to keep in mind is, number one, knowing the audience, and number two, knowing the why. If I know my audience, then I know specifically what content they are seeking, looking at the different surveys, feedback that they've offered, to know, okay, we need to offer these kinds of sessions to attract this group, this demographic of our membership versus something else. And then the why. Why are we presenting this event? Why are we doing this conference? We don't want to just do something just to check off on a list. Yes, we did this for the year. That's done. Right. We want something that's going to be meaningful. We are a membership organization. And so we have to keep that in mind to offer things that our members want. And so if we keep those two things at the forefront, who we're serving and why, then those are the two things that are going to help us to make sure that what we're offering is of value to our members.
That's right. That's a good key point too. Just knowing your audience, what they're coming for, and realizing what you're doing it for and who you're doing to. We always say that in audience, when customers come to us and they're planning we want to know a lot about your audience and who to expect at these events. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Danielle. let's talk about your event content and how you keep it fresh. I mean, you do 2 of these a month. You're constantly planning these, right? So how do you keep
Yes.
them from being like the last one, or how do you keep evolving as you plan?
Yeah, so just piggybacking off of what Pamela said, Dr. Pamela said, it's definitely knowing the audience, and so we have to make sure we're going where the audience is to make sure that we're communicating and seeing, what their habits and things are, and vFairs does a great job of providing different types of creativity for us to be able to express that during each event. And so just, really trying to make sure we're understanding the market because it's always evolving, and just making sure that we're, incorporating the evolution in everything that we're doing. So it really is having a good marketing person, which we have amazing marketing person on our team, and just really knowing who we're serving and making sure that we're bringing that value to both our markets. We actually work with employers and the candidates. So it's really learning both of those niches and making sure we're catering to both of their needs.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a lot of tailored to one audience, but you're really trying to tailor this content and the networking function to 2 sets of audiences, really. Yeah, that's a lot. You do so well, though. Next question is around event analytics. So the reporting piece of it. I know this has to be for all 3 of you. After you come off of these events that you each do your company and multiple events for most of you, you analyze the reporting that you're getting and the traffic going, what to do next for the next event. So even post-event reports have like gold to you to help you better understand what types of content for your next event. So let's talk a little bit about that. Bri, for CareerFically, what do you do to CareerFest, have all the analytics, all the post reports? How do you analyze this data, figure out what's best to do for the next?
Yeah, the analytics and the reporting are really good, and they just keep getting better. And so, this year we were able to successfully implement single sign-on, so that's helped us get even more reporting information, bump it up against T-Mobile's reports, pull things out like which departments are attending the most, where are they spending the most time. So the analytics that are provided are pretty amazing. I think that there's probably a report for everything. We definitely like to see our attendance over the year, where it picks up, where it slows down. We use the data to help with our promotional and communication strategy, but it also tells the story, like I said before. What do people love? Where do they spend most of their time? I think Dr. Fawcett said the best. This might be the statement of the whole session here, but know your audience, right? So the analytics are such a great tool to get to know your audience. It's great feedback. It's great tracking for us. And I'll be honest with you, Candice, I don't even think we've scratched the surface with what your team can provide for us. I swear I just shoot over our partners a note and say, hey, I need a report for this, for these dates. And while I have access to the tool and can pull them all myself, it just, 10 minutes later, they have a report for whatever it is I'm asking for. So like I said, it's great, and it just keeps getting better.
Well, good. I always love to hear that. And you're right. Before I came on to vFairs, I was a customer myself, so all of your shoes, I know what it's like. The back end, I mean, it's set up so well. All the reporting, I don't think it's surface either, Bri. And of course, the PMs, they're just all-stars. Unicorns, because they can do everything. And you're right. You send them an email, send all your requests over within, I don't know how they do it. Most of them are right now. You know who you are. You're all amazing. So thank you for touching on that piece, Bri. Danielle, analytics, and just you're also specifically that you love. Talk a little bit about
absolutely in love with.
in love
yes,
with
he is.
Hamza.
Oh my God, yes, I am. Yes, but our reporting is very, very vital. As I'm sure the other panelists will attest to, that it lets us know, what's working, what's not. We actually introduced a new feature with our roundtables this year, and we were able to determine that they actually work better within the time frame of the event because we initially started before the event. And so just making those slight changes, we saw a drastic change in attendance and participation with the candidates. So just having those reporting metrics really allow us to really customize the experience for both the employer and the candidate. So yes, and Bri, you hit the hammer on the nail, because it takes literally 2 seconds. I can't even get the email out great to say, oh, I need this, and his teams are on it. So it's a very, very important, very vital. But the PM team is amazing. I could go on for days about Hamza, but yes.
Yes. Uh, just to hear this, just to say that, Danielle. Dr. Fawcett, I wanted to ask you specifically for analytic reporting post-event. How do you analyze the data that you're getting to make your content, even knowing where traffic is coming and going from? How do you specifically do that?
Yes, I want to first ditto what Danielle and Bri have said about our PMs. They are just amazing. Halima is totally awesome. I get reports immediately after our event. Very detailed, very specific, telling us where our members went, the sessions that we might have thought would have been the most popular or the least popular. We can look at those numbers and see specifically who liked what. What do we need to cut from the next event? What do we need to offer more of? Even with our exhibitors, who were the biggest attractions? And we say, oh, maybe not this conference, maybe we'll just see you next time. But the analytics really tell us what we need to plan for, what our members really, really want. Without those detailed reports, we would really just be guessing. And even with the evaluations from each session, when they can give the ratings and the comments that they want to about our different speakers, that also helps, because we always want to know what our audience feels was most relevant to them, what did they enjoy the most. And so even that data, the surveys, the feedback, the quantitative and qualitative data, all of it is so vital to helping us plan events that are going to keep our members engaged.
Right. And you go after analyzing the data, you're looking at the flow between, let's say you have a general session or a keynote versus the break. I think that's one of my favorite things to do, is to look at the data. And as Bri mentioned, tells a story that you can all see. And it's clear, with the reporting that you do receive, you get that in data, how to better your event the next go around, how to plan it, maybe even swing sessions and roundtable, kind of revamping the agenda, if you will, and how that itself can almost make a new event for the next go. Thank you for sharing that. I agree with you. Halima is an all-star. She is an amazing PM. I know she's on this session right now. She's actually one of the PMs for Discover Next today. So I was to get her and have her be the project manager for this event, for sharing those as well. I wanted to talk about some challenges. All event planners, whether they're in-person events, virtual events, hybrid events, there's pros and cons, challenges. There's good things that happen. There's setbacks. It's just human nature. So what's been the most challenging part of creating content for your specific events? Danielle, I know for you do 2 of these events a month. And I know we talked about how do you keep it going and evolve without it kind of maybe becoming stagnant if each of the events looks the same. So is that a challenge for you specifically with content?
It is actually, to be honest with you, because we start working on our calendar for the year, probably midsummer, and we get that finalized. And so, once we get the ball rolling, it's like we're going downhill almost. And it's kind of hard to implement new content and change things up once the ball gets rolling, because there's really like not a break, right? And so it becomes a bit of a challenge to just make sure that we're staying on top of things, not getting comfortable in the consistency of the schedule and doing things in our routine. And so, just kind of piggybacking on the last question, the reporting and the metrics really help us to make sure, are we hitting the mark with what we're doing? Yes, we have this great plan for the year. We're implementing what, our goals, but, let's take a minute and just trying to see if we are reaching those goals, and do we need to come up with some more? So, getting in the hustle and bustle of the day to day and the routine of everything is a bit of a challenge to make sure that we are staying fresh and current. But again, having vFairs team with us and just really kind of being in the know of how we're going and doing kind of helps us with those challenges.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. And Bri, is it the same for you as well? Kind of planning. I think I just have a piece and a role to play, Danielle, at a time. And I think it is easy to kind of conform. Like you said, once you have the ball rolling, it's easy to plan, which is a good thing. But what if you go back to analyzing that data from your life, and you just see a different kind of path for the rest of the events? How do you go about what might come up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for us, there's really three things that come into play as big challenges for us. And Candice, you hit on one of them a little bit earlier, and that's that UX design, right? If the users don't know where to go in your event, it's not very useful. And so, as somebody who has my eyes on CareerFest 24/7 almost, like, to me, it all makes sense, but to put it in such, to roll it back and put it in simpler terms and make sure that the user experience is elegant and simple, I think has been, just challenging, because you don't know what you don't know. And like I said, if you don't get those fresh eyes on there, you're just looking at the same thing. So definitely UX design is one of them. Content. So I am not an expert in all things career at T-Mobile. I rely heavily on our partners internally to bring that content to life, which kind of brings into the next challenge, keeping up with the business. So to Danielle and your point, the business changes, whole reorgs happen. I have to rename whole arena boots, so making sure the places where we can pivot, that we do, sometimes we have a video that has a voiceover that we just can't edit in time. So those internal pieces, those are kind of hard to pivot on a dime. But as far as content changes, vFairs are always such great partners, understanding where we have a fire alarm and understanding that our business, it just changes so much. And so, part of being a CareerFest partner is understanding that there could be changes along the lines, before we reach launch, and, kind of all hands on deck.
Yeah, you said it well. It's constantly evolving, your business, especially. I mean, that's a household name, T-Mobile, and I can imagine the challenges that you're faced with, specifically for CareerFest. Like you mentioned, the reorgs happen all the time, and then you have to take a step back, look at your plan, see where you need to pivot. I know there are challenges that are going your way, but amazing job at refocusing and kind of on track. So I appreciate you sharing that. That's really important to mind. And then Dr. Fawcett, for you specifically for Allied Education Association, how do you guys challenges at Bay? You come across a challenge, how do you kind of navigate through that?
Well, it's really staying aware of what's required for our members. We have to know what the standards are, what the certification requirements are for our teachers and principals and those who need credits. It's also really just, again, paying attention to who we're serving. We want to make sure that we offer something that's going to be of value to the whole organization, not just something that is only for our college students or our early career educators. We want to make sure that we're offering something for our ESPs and our higher ed faculty and staff. So that can be a challenge when you have such a broad scope of people to serve. And then when you look at the age ranges, as well as familiarity and comfortability with using the technology in itself. And so we have to make sure that we're offering different things with our content where people will feel comfortable even using the platform. And then that would also play into what kind of supports are we offering? Do we have the instructions on how to access the information that we're offering on the platform? So all of that, depending on who's in our event, it can be a challenge sometimes.
Sure. No, curveballs can be thrown too, and what you do specifically, making that not just for one, area, like you mentioned, college students, but everyone, who's involved and who will be there to attend. So you're looking at many different types of people who will be logged in your audience to cater to. So I think that's really important to keep that in mind. I want to next kind of get into promote. So I know we have about 14 minutes left specifically before we end the session. There's so much amazing good conversations we've had. So talk about promotional content, to a little bit about my favorite thing, gamification and networking functionality. So last question around content for promotional purposes. What types of content and distribution channels have worked best to help you attract attendees, answers, or exhibitors if you have those at your events? So that's content specifically that I'm asking for. So what types of content and channels have you worked best to attract your attendees? Dr. Fawcett, do you want to start?
For our attendees, social media is probably our number one way to get information out about our events, to really make our members aware of what's going on, how can they register, how can they participate, social media. And then we have a state newsletter that goes out to all of our members. And so we use that to share information once a month. And then we also have our website. And so we post information on our website that is accessible to every member, so everybody can see what's going on. But the main one is social media. And then when we want to make sure that we emphasize a particular speaker or particular session or content, then we may feature pictures, videos, different types of formats to feature that person to attract more people to the event.
And are you using more LinkedIn, Instagram? I know a big thing going around now, of course, is TikTok. Use that as a marketing tool to leverage. Are you looking at a specific channel that you get the most from specifically?
We use Instagram. We have Facebook, Twitter. We are new to the TikTok game, but we are getting in on that, and a little bit more with LinkedIn.
Okay, good deal. Bri and Danielle, I see you shaking your head like yes. And then I think we have smiles and giggles about TikTok. I don't think I saw TikTok going this direction to be out there for the usage of businesses and corporations, but I love it. I think it's so, but I actually don't have TikTok. I think after today I'm gonna go get it. So Bri, just a little bit about T-Mobile and content specifically promotional purposes.
Yeah, so since our event is internally based for our internal employees, we have a little bit of a different strategy when it comes to promoting. We create small little commercials that get broadcasted through our intranet site, also through our different career development platforms, programs. We push it out that way. Deep communications calendar invites. We have a corporate communications partner that we work with who helps create really beautiful posters and digi-signs that go in elevators and at our call centers. We've been digging in a little bit deeper of how we can promote CareerFest better with our frontline employees. So really exploring the care center environment, how we can kind of plug in with those, in person, put a poster on the wall, kind of old school, but a great way to promote our event, especially because it is concert themed. So we like to, who doesn't love a good theme, right? Those are a couple of the different ways that we promote CareerFest internally, but, we do have a partnership with our social media team. We have a handle at T-Mobile Careers, and they talk all about all of our careers and the amazing work and things that our employees are doing. So we do have an external, we do have an external way that we do promote CareerFest, even though it's internal. But that just shows, folks who are looking for careers, maybe looking to join T-Mobile, the commitment that we have to our employees. So, social media, even for an internal program, is working really great for us.
Well, good. I know it's a different audience, specifically, for Dr. Fawcett and then for Danielle. They're, kind of broadcasting out audiences and you're kind of internal employees just based on the type of event that you're doing. I think it's really exciting and cool to hear how, these decals that you use on the elevators and, in stores, maybe, behind the scenes, and then of course in your headquarters and in corporate too. So that's really neat to hear. Danielle, let's talk about promotional TikTok and all the others.
No, we're not using TikTok. Our reach is more in a professional setting, I would say. So we use LinkedIn and Facebook heavily. But Candice, do not get TikTok. It's such a thief of time. You could literally spend hours on that. I do have one, but I rarely use it. People are so creative. So I love to see the different creativities. But for our marketing purposes, TikTok wouldn't necessarily reach the candidate that we would necessarily want, outside of LinkedIn and Facebook. But yes, social media is a huge part of what we do, not just on our own personal handles, but also, through paid advertisement. And then also we get some of the companies to advertise as well. That they're participating with the particular event, and that gets a lot of response as well. So, but yes, social media is here to stay. It's definitely something that we use, and we've seen a lot of success with. Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, I think that wraps up the content. We only have a few more minutes, and I really want to spend these next few minutes about us talking specifically around networking you have at your event and gamification. This could be, I know we've already talked about a little bit, but leaderboard, the scavenger hunt, types of gamification elements, the photo, a good one to just, put a big prize on for the most likes of all of the photos in the game. So tell me a little bit more how you go about working functionalities and create that excitement buzz when someone does log into your event specifically. So Bri, I want to start with you with T-Mobile for how do you keep that engagement and that going and just the love of the event and prizes, all the buzz going on.
Yeah, so we're pretty lucky that CareerFest is kind of like cultural phenomenon. It's been around for about 6 years at T-Mobile, and so we get to piggyback off just the sheer love that people have had for it over the last couple of years. But we're so excited to add scavenger hunts this year, a way for people to engage in the live portion of our event. Really fun, actually. What we've decided to do is when people find those icons in the scavenger hunt, each time you find one, you get a little piece of career advice. And so once you get all pieces of career advice, it unlocks a playlist to one of our internal systems called Percipio that has all kinds of career development resources and tools. So you get this cool personalized playlist through CareerFest and a chance to win a prize pack. And so that's one of the ways that we're pulling people in this year to our live events. You know, and there's all kinds of ways for people to network through Career Fest. You know, just like learning, networking, everybody does networking a little bit differently. Some people like the really formal events and some people like it more casual. So we have different chat rooms. We have some live instructor-led workshops. We have a Slack channel. So lots of different ways for people to engage the best way for them.
That sounds so much. I want to personally attend Career Fest next time if you'll allow me, Bri, just to see the scavenger hunt. I love that you're taking the scavenger hunt. Just a really cool gamification, prizes. You can, you know, we all love, you know, Where's Waldo? I mean, I remember that book growing up, wanting to find like where he was on all these different pages. It's come so far from there, but with the scavenger hunt, is that same kind. You can go through the lobby, the exhibit hall, all these objects. It can be icons, it can be a little, you know, photos, whatever you want it to be. It can be your company logo that's hidden throughout the event. I like how you're next level, Bri, with unlocking. Once you find the, you know, T-Mobile logo, it unlocks some sort of career advice. That's brilliant. So hats off to you for that. Danielle,
yeah, everyone should steal it. It's a good idea.
I'm going to steal that, Bri. Thank you.
Yes, me too.
I'm going to steal that. I absolutely love that idea. Our gamifications and you know, doing prizes and things hasn't really been a big hit, to be quite honest with you. You would think that, you know, yeah, you can get an Amex card, do this, or but I think, you know, with our audience, they really, really value the time that they can have in front of an actual recruiter. And then the recruiter actually values that time with the candidate. So that has really been more of our focus, you know, and of course, with our reporting and everything that we do with vFairs, we've gotten that great feedback, that's just more of the priority. But I do love the additional element of adding that gamification piece, if you will, for us to provide career development. And I think that would be a really, really great another incentive and some more content to add to our event. So Bri, thank you. You really have taken that to a whole nother step. I really like that idea. But we also, you know, provide the workshops for that one-on-one interaction as well. So of course, that's, you know, our goal is to make sure that they get in front of the candidates, get in front of the employers, and employers have that one-on-one time. But yeah, there is, as Bri has just so eloquently put, other ways to accomplish the goals without necessarily the traditional gamification process.
Right. Yep, agreed. And Dr. Fawcett, tell a little bit about how you engage your audience. Says, I should say.
We have used the scavenger hunt for prizes. Bri, yes, I am also going to steal that idea. I love the way you use the scavenger hunt. We offer prizes, gift cards, tangible gifts for our members as appreciation. We love them, and so we always like to give them things. And then we have used the leaderboard. That is a way, like you mentioned earlier, for everyone to navigate the platform as well as win some items. And the competition factor, our members really, really seem to love. And we've also used the photo booth. Our members love posting on social media. That's always fun. And then at one of our events, we included Kahoot. Our educators are familiar with that platform that they've used in their schools, classrooms. And so with the Kahoot game, we took an opportunity to find out what our members know about the association and added that as a way to play another game. And so all of these ways that vFairs has provided gamification has really, really worked very well for us. So we love it. We love that element of engagement and networking.
Well, good. We're so happy to hear it. And that is a really great, you know, point with Kahoot. It's a great way to kind of throw in some, you know, Q&A, kind of test, you know, users on what they have learned from the day. You want to put out, it could even be sponsored. You know, this is something that you could sponsor and make revenue off of as well. It could be any of the ones mentioned earlier with the leaderboard, with the booth, with the scavenger hunt. These could also be sponsorship opportunities which we haven't even gotten into, but maybe we'll do part 2 of this. I'm having so much fun with all of you. But thank you so much for sharing. I think we could go on probably for hours just talking about content, how all of you have your very unique and distinguished events. But like I said, maybe we'll do a part 2 of this at Discover Next. But thank you again, ladies, for taking the time and these amazing insights. And of course, these takeaways. Sounds like, Bri, you have started a trend where a lot of our customers are probably going to say, hey, I want scavenger hunt. Also, I want to take it up a notch and add in some, career advice to find the different icons. So thank you for that as well. I want to thank you to everyone who attended today. Next up on the agenda for Discover Next is Ask Me Anything, our very own CEO, Eunice. As you exit out of this session, you will join button for his Ask Me Anything that starts literally right. Go on over there, and then after that, we'll go right into after party where we will have lots of insights for leaders, the leaderboard winners, the photo booth winners, all the winners from today's event ended soon, and then we will have our networking where we will have the rounds live in action. We will also have a lot of matchmaking going on too if you want to network with others that are here. So please stick and join us next up for Asking. Thank you again, everyone, for joining Discover Next. Take care.